So strange.
You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Remax Palm Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. And while my guests introduce themselves, I'm going to get my screen back up, but please introduce yourselves.
Hi, John. Thanks so much for having us today. My name is Shelby Mendelson. I am the Recreation Manager with Northport Parks and Recreation.
And I am Kimberly Lenski, the Community Engagement and Partnership Manager for Northport Parks and Recreation.
Fantastic. So let's get an update from Parks and Rec real quick on how we're looking for 2025.
Yeah, so 2025 has been a great year here in Parks and Recreation. We've had a lot of items come up this year. So I know you're aware, John, but over Hurricane Ian a few years ago, our gymnasium at the Morgan Family Community Center unfortunately took a hit. And we were so lucky to be able to reopen that gymnasium in January. So it was a great way to kick off the year. We are seeing those numbers increase in our community centers as everyone's coming back to utilize those basketball courts, volleyball courts, rentals are on the rise in that space as well. So we're super happy to see that. We have been so busy January, February, March with all of our programs that we put on. We've had our Go Green with Parks programs. We've had our community yard sales, newcomers days, movies on the green, all of those community-based events that we're able to provide here in Northport in the surrounding area for the community.
Fantastic. So we've got, and we'll hit this real quick because I know that Devon, we talked about this ahead of time. Devon is going to be coming on, but we've got the aquatic center and the swim classes and different things like that he's going to really focus on. But is there any interesting things that you would like to tell the citizens that are happening right now so they can prepare for upcoming spring and summer?
Yep. So we are officially in our spring hours for the Northport Aquatic Center. So Monday through Friday, it's open for just the competition pool, which is heated. And then on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we're open full facility. So you can already start to enjoy the slides, the lazy river, and the little splash pad as well. And in April, there's 2 swim lessons that we'll get into a little bit later.
Okay. So with the start of 2025, we've got wonderful budget talks that are happening right now. How are you guys feeling about those budget talks and in the projections for the citizens of Northport and the concerns about the budget and the parks themselves and the health of the parks?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the team has heavily been focused on this from all facets of our operations to facilities. It's really important that we remember Parks and Recreation takes up a very minimal portion of the overall city budget. We are here to provide quality of life. And across the board, Parks and Recreation agencies are really looking to hit that 20% cost recovery. So, we are hitting that here in Northport. And I think it's imperative that we keep that in touch when we're making these decisions for our parks, for our future growth, for our future development. Another piece that we really rely upon and is prevalent right now is our community needs assessment. So right now, as of Friday, and today's press release, our community needs assessment is live. So that is an ample time for the community to be able to come out and put in there what they're looking from our Parks and Recreation organization. It is our job to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar and actually provide services and quality of life programs that the residents want to see. I am very passionate about maybe one event or program, but if it's not something that the community is looking for, we need to be aware of that. And we need to make sure that we're hitting those trends based off of the information and the education that we as the subject matter experts receive from both the community and our neighboring counties and all of those items as well.
How critical is it to have the citizens give their input?
Super critical. I think it's their feedback is the foundation to what we do. So without it, I'm sure we can come up with as many programs, events, amenity type things for them. However, we need to know what they're looking for within their community.
And when citizens get involved and they actually give the feedback, it gives you guys a lot of things to assess and redirect. And we have how many parks now?
In the whole system, there's 29 parks and facilities.
There's 29 parks, and good ideas are always welcomed. And I know you guys address different situations, but with 29 parks, when citizens get involved, you also have to kind of plan these things out too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, I mean, we have replacement schedules for all of our exterior playgrounds that we take into account. We have a master plan that the team works on to develop for future needs. So, all of those pieces are critical in assessing what is going to be needed in Northport as it continues to grow as a city.
Yeah. Go ahead. Did you have something to add, Shelby?
That was me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nothing else to add.
Kim's good.
Yeah, you're good.
Well, all right. So just so the people who are watching on Facebook, we have the names flipped on the screen. So
in
Shelby,
the order we're sitting, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It looks
kind of
great on
messy.
my side. Sorry.
It's okay though. Yeah. Here's the thing. We often talk with the citizens, so I'll remind the listeners who are out there, if you have questions directed to the park or thoughts or concerns towards the park system, please feel free to ask your comments. If you have something to say that you want to give kudos out about the parks, please do that. These are all part of your participation as the parks look forward to having citizens get involved with them and give feedback on their surveys and different things like that. We also would like to have that on this show. So your participation is very welcomed. I'm going to give some kudos out because I'm kind of blessed that I get to travel to see my granddaughter. So I'm actually in Ohio now. I'm going to stop by and see my son, Michael, and we're going to go to a performance of his tonight. But the granddaughters live in Indiana. And I have to say, they're in the greater Ball State, Muncie, Indiana area. And their population is about 67,000. And I remember when ours was 67,000. It wasn't that long ago, believe it or not. But we're blessed to have really nice parks. My granddaughters have experienced them here, and they remember them. Because the parks in Muncie, unfortunately, they just moved there as John is now teaching at Ball State. They're not as up to date as we are on things, and we have a really good focus on the natural environment. We've got the new natural department. We've got Parks and Rec that really come together and provide a great benefit for the citizens and the residents of our community. It's a nice building block. Me as a realtor, I love the fact that we have a park system that we can brag about. Can you talk a little bit about why there's so much pride within the Parks and Rec system on making sure that we're staying on top of our game? Oh, I think I lost you.
Can you hear us?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
We're here. Yay!
Yeah.
We're getting to the good stuff.
No, so you mentioned your work as a realtor, and quality of life is one of the essential pieces that families are looking for when they move and look to relocate their family, if we're being honest. So the reason we take such pride in what we do is because we have the passion for it. So I love to say that our leadership team and our entire team feeds off of the passion for what we do and what we can provide to the parks and for the people of the community. So it's imperative that we hone in on what is important. We have certified playground inspectors. We have certified parks and recreation professionals, certified parks and recreation executives as well, that all take into account these pieces that we see.
you know, that all those pieces come together. I'm going to address something that Sean Kirkpatrick has hounded staff for quite a while about, and I'm sure that there are others. Can you talk about the situation and the current flooring at the Morgan, or I'm not the Morgan. It is the Morgan. The Morgan.
You cut out a little bit.
The current flooring. So the gymnasium rehab that was, yeah.
The new flooring.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we were fortunate enough to reopen in January, the Morgan Center Gymnasium post Hurricane Ian. So that is something that we are so happy to have. We had a big grand opening. We had a good amount of stakeholders come out to this event. We now are hosting our youth basketball league that utilizes that space again. We're looking to start back up our adult basketball league program. And then, of course, the kiddos that we see before and after school that utilize the Morgan Family Community Center, you know, as something to do, something productive, and something that's essential to the community and the way the community works. So we are so fortunate to have that back up and running, and to see people back in the gym has been awesome.
So Mr. Chuck, how you doing there today? Mr. Chuck English. He said, how many city-owned natural area parks are there within the city of Northport?
That's a very good question, Chuck. There's 29 total in the system, and a number of them are just natural trailways, and then they're split off to the playground parks. There's, of course, skate park. If I had to take a guess, I would say in like the 20-ish range of the natural park. That's a fair guess. I can comment on that with the actual numbers
too, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
It's high for a city our size.
I mean, I think it is. There's room to grow. The new master plan will encompass plans or hope for plans for growth on the other side of Northport.
Well,
Right.
And so you guys are actually, and I know this because of the conversations I've had with our city manager, Jerome Fletcher, also with all the city commissioners and other Parks and Recs people over the years. Our focus is just not staying at the current level. We're actually, as the city grows, we're actually looking to grow our Parks and Recs division stronger, aren't we?
Yes, that's correct.
I don't know why you're cutting out.
Yeah, we've cut out a few times.
Oh.
I'm not sure if we can actually.
There you are.
Yeah, so to answer your question, yes, we are looking to grow the park system as the city continues to grow.
And along with that, you know, if we're looking at maximizing in our service to residents, you know, we're supposed to have so many parks within walking distance from neighborhoods. So in keeping that in mind, that alone tells you if we're adding to those parks and we're adding to those systems, you know, it's important that we have the correct amount of people to take care of those places.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you just said something. I'm gonna kind of highlight this. In our neighborhoods, we're supposed to have a certain amount of parks within our neighborhood.
Not neighborhood specific, but in terms of distance.
Yeah.
You know, we
Distance,
should
okay,
have a
very
certain
cool.
distance. Yes.
Very cool. That's
So
good
and
to know.
specifically out east, where we come up pretty short of that
Yep.
from the last discussions that we had. So that's an area where we would definitely be looking for growth.
Well, and we're also growing out east now. You know, I gotta say, when I moved here 25 years ago, the focus wasn't out east for sure, because the growth wasn't happening out there. But now that we're in this growth spurt that we're having, again, like in 2008, all these things matter, and the key to what people need to realize too is there's a book out there that can guide you through finding all the parks. Can you talk about the value of the playbook and why people should really hunt those things out for their information?
Yeah. So the playbook is something we produce twice a year. So the first playbook covers from January to June. The second playbook goes from August to the end of the year. And it has all of our programs, events, instructor-led classes, our hours of operations, and just general information about the facilities and the parks. And in the very back of the book is a map of our park system and all of the parks and how each park can be utilized. So super important. So that link to get to that, to download it if you don't have a physical copy, is northportfl.gov/playbook. But you can find playbooks at the Chamber of Commerce, the Northport Library, the Morgan Community Center, the Mullins Center, here at City Hall as well.
Fantastic. Another question from Chuck English. Wasn't the level of service for a natural park reduced from 6 acres to per thousand to 4 acres per thousand?
We'd have to refer to park maintenance for that.
Yeah, that would be something. I'm not sure on this fact, but that would be something. So we have an awesome Parks and Grounds team. We have a Parks and Grounds manager and a Parks and Grounds assistant manager that we could certainly follow up with to confirm that statement there.
Fantastic. Chuck, we'll do some follow-up on that. And let me ask you this, Chuck, and put it in the text for me. What is it specific that you're directing those questions at? Because I can have a guest come on that can direct or redirect the questions back to you, because I think you're trying to go more in depth than they are on this show. I would love to get into the conversation that you're going into, and I'll be back in Florida next week so we can have coffee too. But the beautiful thing about the playbook, we've got some really critical time frames coming up. We've got the end of school coming up. We've got some summer camps coming up that people really need to be aware how fast these things fill up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see you both kind of get excited about those topics because I know how critical it is.
Yes. Childcare services are essential for parents to be able to continue to work during the summertime while ensuring that the kiddos have an enriching experience. We have both an elementary age camp and a teen camp. Last I was told last week, and this is breaking news, so we want to make sure that we get this out here. We have less than 30. I know we need some kind of sound, John. We got to get that. We have less than 30 spots left for our elementary age camp. So if you have not registered, and that's for 10 weeks. So that could be, we only have 3 spots left one week, or we only have 4 spots left another week. So it's very important, if parents have not registered, that they come to the Morgan Family Community Center or the George Mullen Activity Center, and the teams there are ready to assist you, making sure all of your paperwork is filled out correctly, get you enrolled. And if there is a week that is filled, we do have a wait list. So we do encourage everyone to enroll on the wait list. As we know, summer plans change sometimes. Families have vacations come up. So always, always, always make sure that you register in advance for our camp programs.
Fantastic. The summer camp, we're in spring now. I'm already talking summer. But just even with what we're talking about, only having 30 spots is that, are we at critical level for a lot of that stuff for our citizens?
Our camp program is one of the most sought after camp programs here in the area, based on what is provided, based on our CAPRA accreditation that makes sure that we go above and beyond in our service delivery. So I would say, yes, it is critical here in Northport for the families. We're fortunate to fill up so quickly with our camp program. And this is something that we always look for, as we continue to assess the offerings that we provide to the community. There is a great impact for child care services. So it's something that we as a team look at and see how we can better service the needs that the community has. But I could go on and on about the summer camp program and the team that puts it on, but they do a wonderful job. And I think it's always important for parents to have peace of mind and knowing that their kids are going to have a fulfilling summer experience. And we get very creative to make sure that the kids stay active and engaged throughout the course of the program.
Yeah, you kind of hit some of the things I was going to ask, because the engagement that you guys have with the kids in the programs, aren't there a lot of return kids wanting to come back to the camps because they're having a good time, and two, the parents, because of the fact that the city is actually doing that. It's a Parks and Rec situation, and there has to be something said about our city doing all these things to try to help. You know, I'm one of the youngest cities in the state, age wise, for the age of our city, let alone. I think our average age is 54, so we have a lot of working class in our city compared to other cities. Up, hold on a minute. I don't know why. It's probably going to catch up to you.
Oh, are you there?
Now we are.
Now we are. Okay. So you talk about that evolution and showing what it actually means. You know, we have a camp counselor that was once a CIT. That's our CIT program, which is a counselor and training program, which is the next step for our summer camp, who before that was part of our Teen Extreme camp. And then even before that was part of our elementary age camp. So you can see the progression of them now being a camp counselor. To me, that shows that they really respect the program itself and that they find value in it, and that it's been such a service to them that they like to continue with the program itself, even though it's in a completely new facet of their lives. But that means a lot. And then, of course, we have a summer camp roundup, which is well since passed by now, but we do that every year to try to get all of those families enrolled and make sure, again, with the paperwork, we have everything we need. And to see the young ones come up, this will be, you know, their first year at the elementary age camp. It's really great to see that, you know, we're setting the foundation, and hopefully we're setting a really great standard for them and what their camp expectations are for their summer.
The participation is always at a high level. I will say this: when you guys do your events, any event always seems to be at such a high level. And I've talked about this in the past on the show, of the coordination that it takes to do some of the parades and different events on the green, the movies, different things like that. How difficult is it to do the summer camps and things like that in comparison to like the Poinsettia parade? There's got to be, because you're taking care of someone else's kids, there's got to be a different focus there, or different drive.
Yep. So something I always like to tell my team is that the biggest thing we look for in everything we do is safety. And you brought up a very good point, John. At this point, we are now in charge of someone else's child, someone else's everything. And it is our job to make sure that we take that extremely seriously. So even though I love to have fun, and we most certainly have fun, safety is definitely the top priority. In terms of planning, you know, sometimes it could be even more in depth. I mean, I know how kids are. I know how my kids are, and they'll always get you. They'll always have some type of workaround, or they'll always have some type of question that we have to take into account. And, you know, we as a camp team and camp staff, we have to make sure that, you know, we have a way to pivot if maybe an activity is not going well. We're able to work on our feet. We're able to deal with the emotions of these young age children, you know, and making sure that bullying is something that we do not tolerate in our camp program. You know, so we come at it from a different angle. You know, it's definitely a different approach, while still relying on our solid foundation that we have as a department and as an organization, and making sure we stick to our mission and vision. But yeah, it's definitely a different approach, I would say.
Kim, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm an outsider looking in when it comes to camps. I get to go and take all the photos of it. So I see all the fun of it. But I know that the team is planning well in advance. Like I believe it starts in like November or sooner. So they are working almost year round on these camp programs, and they get very in depth of what they're doing. So they have everything meticulously planned for when those kiddos come into the facilities.
So here's some beauty that you just said. You've got the outside look into what's going on because the pictures you take.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of gave an overview of what you think is happening. Can you give some reassurance to the parents that are out there what you see when you just show up to, one, observe, to take pictures, but two, see the interaction?
Sure. Yeah, I see kids that are happy and excited to see their camp counselor that they're assigned to. I see kids being very hands-on and involved in the activities, and they're all participating. Everybody has a voice in it. And when they're on field trips, they're happy and they're just living their best life. And the most fun that I see them have is all through camp. They're preparing for an end of year show. And everything that they've put into leading up to that end of year show is just produced and put into this activity that they do for their parents. You just see that sense of joy and pride in them. And that's when the love for their camp counselors start to show, and the tears come out because they're sad that it has to come to an end. So I think you see kids that are thriving in this environment, and it's all due to the work that the team puts in leading up to the start of camp.
Well, I'm gonna put Chuck's comment up there, and I'll give just a quick overview because you that are watching online, I know Chuck, and I know how much he brags about Parks and Rec. I know that he believes it's excellent, and it is one of the best. His questions earlier were really, we're going to have coffee when I get back, and we're going to get to the bottom of what his direction was. But I know that he's got a lot of pride, and a lot of people do in our city about our Parks and Rec system. So I wanted to make sure that you guys didn't think he was coming at you from a different direction, which I'm sure you don't.
Not at all. No, we appreciate the interaction.
Yeah, they're all great questions.
Yes, great questions.
Yeah, so it's all good, and I'm gonna come at you guys from a different angle because I don't think I've ever asked it this way. And because we're in budget, we talked about that. How do you guys perceive not just the current, but even the past commission on being supportive of Parks and Rec?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and our commission is in their standing for a reason, and it's to represent the community. So anytime we receive back from commission, feedback from commission, we definitely take it and we listen to it. It's our job as the subject matter experts to really dive in and make sure that their questions are answered and they feel heard. And, we have the utmost respect. All of them are very involved in our events. They come out, they show their support. So we are very, very grateful for the feedback and the attention that they give us.
And we had two that have recently transitioned now from being, and I don't want to say everyday normal citizens because they were not. Neither one of them were normal everyday citizens. They were both kind of involved prior to the election, and had some feelings about where they saw the city going and what's happening there. But and this isn't directed towards them per se, but when you have new people come on, do you guys get asked questions differently when you have new commissioners come on board about what Parks and Rec does and different things like that? Is there an educational piece that comes with that? Oh, I lost. I lost you again. There'll be a slight delay here. I think you're going to pop back on there.
Can you hear us?
Now I do. I don't know
Yeah,
what
Now
it's
you
doing.
do. Okay, so no, that's a great question. Anytime we have a new commissioner come in, we get to have an education meeting with them. So basically, that is our time to let them know what we do as a department, and really have a chance to one-on-one answer their questions, make sure that we can provide a good representation of what we do, and they hear it from us, and what we represent and what our goals, objectives, mission, vision, all of those items are. And we go pretty in depth with those
do.
meetings, I would
Yeah.
say.
Fantastic. We've got a lot of changes happening in Northport, a lot of growth potential coming, all these things that matter to the citizens of Northport. And we talk about out east and the growth potential there. There's got to be a lot of times where you guys are collectively sharing ideas about the future. I talked a little bit at the beginning about the involvement of the citizens. Is there a critical role that they play when new parks are being developed?
It's called a charrette, right? Did I say that right?
Say that one more time. I
A
didn't hear you.
charrette.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, there is whenever a new playground park, whatever is going to be developed in a specific area, we'll take a radius of that area in which that park will serve and then invite them to a community meeting where we provide them with little stickers and a bunch of amenities that we think would work within the park. And then they select what is most important to them. And there's always an option for an other so that they could provide feedback that we might not have thought of. So community engagement is really important to us when it comes to developing new parks and facilities.
Fantastic. You've got different looks for different parks.
Mm-hmm.
Really, we do. We have really kind of given an overview of what the parks are and how you can find them. But have we taken, and I know we have, but do you feel as staff of Parks and Rec that we've taken and tried to create parks for every citizen who lives in Northport, like from the adult who needs to walk some paths and maybe sit down and read some books along the way, to the students that we have from maybe a handicap situation on up?
Yeah. So part of our CAPRA accreditation is to make sure that we have ADA compliance in the park. So we are very mindful in incorporating those elements so that everybody can participate in the parks. So we have everything from a paved walking trail in the Greenway Trail to like a Myakkahatchee Creek, which is very natural environment, and there's no paved, but you are following a path. So when these are being developed, all of those elements are being thought of to be incorporated in some capacity so that everybody can enjoy the park.
Yeah. And even to our playgrounds, we have specific equipment that is ADA accessible. So, you mentioned different ages and, who we're looking at. We want to make sure that it's inclusive of age and everything in between as well.
Well, and you've got an accreditation there, and I know as many city staff that I have the privilege of interviewing, the leadership at the top, which would be our city manager, our commissioners. Then it goes into the leadership within, whether it be fire, police, Parks and Rec, Public Works. That word accreditation. You guys take a lot of pride in getting your accreditations, don't you?
Yes, that accreditation was not easy to get. There's roughly 2% of the nation that has this accreditation. So we feel very fortunate that we have it. It's a very high level of standard that we have to hit in order to get this. So it's not something that's just given to any Parks and Recreation agency. It is definitely earned. And I could happily say that we got 100% on ours, which is very rare. So we are meeting and showing evidence of compliance to meet each of these standards in order to receive this accreditation. So that means when you're going into a park or a facility, we've reached that top bar, and we take pride in that, and that's shown in everybody from leadership down. It's something that is ingrained in us. We call it our Capra life.
So one, everybody can see the excitement and hear it in your voice. Two, I gotta tell you, we've got schools now that our 11th and 12th graders are taking college courses. We're doing all of these things at every level to advance everything much further. In order to get the accreditation, you just said we scored 100. We didn't go at this, I think, because I've talked to enough of you now, and I listened to Deputy Chief and Morales and Chief and Chief Titus talk about all these things. We really focus in on outscoring ourselves. We're kind of in that. If there was 110, I bet we'd have scored it. Do you kind of feel like we're focused? But go ahead, say it.
I was just saying, if you're thinking about it from that standpoint, we are the people that want to get the extra credit. Mm-hmm. We would like to go above and beyond, what the expectation is, and surpass it for sure.
So Sean actually has a question, and we kind of hit this a little bit. Would love any updates on getting new parks east of Toledo Blade. We only have one out of the 20 plus. You guys are fantastic. Keep up the outstanding work.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, Sean. Good to see you.
So we've talked to that about that a little bit, but as the east side grows on a residential standpoint, doesn't that help trigger some of the growth in the park areas as well?
Yes, no, absolutely. They're directly correlated, and we talk about that master plan and future development, and it will be part of what is integrated into that plan, as you mentioned, with the residential growth.
And we've had a lot of growth with Parks and Rec, believe it or not. We've had I would say reconditioned growth because some of our parks have gone through some transitions, and not just a little bit. They've been made better, and they've been redeveloped from what they were to something that they now are. Because we've got the new park at City Hall. There's one
Yep.
that got revamped, and I'm going to hit this a little bit as you talk about the revamping of those parks. We also look at the shading for the kids and young adults that are using them. There's cancer that we have to worry about, and there are really hot days in our city that we have to worry about a child maybe getting burnt if they are on a slide or doing something. And you kind of talk about how we transition parks and also how we looked at safety as far as the sun.
Yeah, so I got to mention a little bit earlier, we have those playground inspectors. So it's a certification that they look at. And shading is a huge piece, especially here in Florida. It is hot, and sun protection is vital to the health of the community. So, in looking at those items, it's always something that we have to take into account when we're going through those initial planning processes of capital improvement projects, which are put out for all of these playgrounds that you see. They are to be updated after so many years. And the parks maintenance team does a really great job of making sure that scheduling is taking place. Unfortunately, with Hurricane Ian, we did have some damage to a good amount of those shade covers. And I will not lie, they are very, very expensive. but they are essential to what is needed. So I know Kim can speak a little bit more about our community projects page, but we do have a page that outlines all of those Hurricane Ian and all of those recovery updates that we've been going through.
So that page, if you want to jump on it, it's northportfl.gov / current projects. There's a drop down that has all of our Hurricane Ian repairs that is listed on there, and some you'll see are the shade structures. We're also providing shade through our natural habitat and installing trees where we can, to make sure that we're compensating for what the shade structure might not reach.
Fantastic. The grants, we talked last week with, I think it was last week with City Manager Fletcher, and we talked about the grant writing and the capabilities now. Parks and Rec, you guys take advantage of grant writing and working that side of it too, don't you?
Yeah, we most certainly do. We do work with the CDBG grants. So that has to do with community grants, and we have a few other projects that are heavily focused in that area as well. And they're essential, for us to be able to continue to grow and develop. Having those funds as a resource is a definite need.
How many grants do you figure we've gotten over the last 5 or 6 years?
Ooh, I'd have to check on that one. Yeah, I would have to check for sure. We have a grants coordinator that we work with directly, but I would have to check for sure.
That's another future question too, and you can take that back and let them know. I think the citizens need to understand when it comes to the grant writing, there's a lot of competition first off for grants, but even to get 1 or 2 a year, just for parks, that's invaluable to the citizens in Northport.
Absolutely makes a huge difference. And like you said, looking at the scope and those types of things and the requirements to meet, it's a very extensive process. So like I said, we work with a grants coordinator to assist in those matters.
Do the accreditations help when it comes to grants? Do you know?
I would say yes, because we're meeting those standards, those requirements that were put into the scope of what that grant might be.
Fantastic. So we've got about 13 minutes left. And I've got to ask this because I've never asked this either. Do we have a employee of the month for Parks and Rec?
So we do a few different things here in Parks and Recreation, actually. So the way that our department is set up is we have different divisions. So we have my division, for example. So I'm the recreation division. I specifically oversee the community centers, the events and programs, a lot of those items that are happening sort of in the event space, camp programs, reservations, rentals, those types of things. And, we look on a monthly basis where we sort of elect, we call it a staff standout, which is really great. But then as a department, and each division does it a little bit different, but that's sort of the piece of it there. As a department, we look triannually to select an employee. And then we just recently did our Employees of the Year. And we were able to select 4 individuals from each of our divisions who were deemed to be outstanding employees. We could not do our job without them. They are sort of forward-facing, really give us, the purpose and what we look to represent as Parks and Recreation professionals. So we do a few different areas, the triannual and then the Employee of the Year.
Fantastic. So is there the Employee of the Year, is there anything special they get? Gotta ask.
I believe they get an award.
Yeah, the city recognizes them with a certificate.
They get a certificate.
It's part of the commission celebratory. Once a month, there's a celebratory meeting.
And I will say, I'll tell our fun story. So we get to sort of surprise them. Mm-hmm. So this year, and this is a fun story I want to share. This year, we decided to let them know that there was a meeting that they had to have. And it was going to be to talk about the future development, of us from a customer service standpoint, which is something that we would typically do. So they believed it. They came in, and then all of a sudden the managers, we stormed in the room. We had We got them a balloon, we got them a little treat, and they were like shocked. But it was definitely a memory that I would hope they would keep. Hopefully a good memory. Hopefully we didn't scare them too much, but hopefully a good memory that they'll be able to keep. And again, just showing that appreciation. It can be hard sometimes to keep that level of service up and making sure that we're meeting the expectations of our community and going above and beyond, like we mentioned. So we very much value them and want to make sure that they know it.
Fantastic. We've got some big summer events happening. We've got the 4th of July. We've got all kinds of things. I know it feels like it's a long way out. I hate to say it,
but leading up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You have a ton leading up to it. With everything that we're doing, with everything that we're talking about today, and everything that you have to do in the future, how is it managing the expectation of what a 4th of July is going to bring after you get through all the other things that you have to do? What does it mean to staff to get these things going and get into the grind early enough where you feel like you got your hand around it? Oh, I lost you again. Hold on one second. You definitely will be coming back.
Let us
there
know.
you are. There you are.
We're here. Okay.
Yep. I don't know why.
Awesome. So we have a lot leading up to the 4th of July, believe it or not. So even though we are well within the planning stages of 4th of July, we have egg hunts coming up in April, which is another one of our very large events that we do here in the community. We have our Movies on the Green series that's going to be ending, our community yard sale. We have BioBlitz still going on through the month of March. So in terms of preparing staff for that, it's just about making sure that we schedule accordingly. When we get into these items, we plan for marketing well in advance of these items. For our big signature events, we host incident command meetings because, for example, Freedom Festival, it takes a lot more than Parks and Recreation by themselves to run that. We have police, we have fire, we have EMS, and several other departments that are all contributing factors to those events and the success that they bring. Getting our team involved is huge. They love to see what comes out of these events, whether it's a public feedback piece or whether it's seeing it all come together, really honing in on what their passions are, making sure we provide professional development opportunities for them. So they feel as though they are part of the team and they are vital because, quite frankly, they are extremely vital to the success of these items. And it is a team effort.
You've got, go ahead.
I would say it starts well in advance. Like as soon as the 4th of July ends, we've already have community feedback that we've been collecting at the event to start planning the next event. So it's not like we're just cramming in the planning sessions into like the last 3 months. It's a year-long process.
And I've done a lot of filming at the events, and I've got to say the reception from citizenry is one over the top. The citizens who actually go to these events, engage in these events, some of them they do it for a different reason, but we do have a class of people who need these events, and our senior class gives them something to do. And I'm not picking on the senior class because I hate to say it, I'm approaching it. So, I'm finally buying my first senior meals now, which is, I can't eat them. I have to order 5 of them, but that's the fun part. What I find is really cool is that even during the events, you as staff are still trying to go out and engage with the citizenry and ask them during the event, did we meet your expectation? Is there something you would like to see more of? Can you talk about that relationship that you guys have built with the citizens in that regard?
Yeah, surveys are a huge, huge piece for us.
It's like the extra credit.
That's right. We want to know.
Yeah.
We love to have feedback. We always encourage people if they have something or they see something or they need something or they just want to talk about something, call
Right.
us. That wonderful playbook has all of our information in there from aquatics to recreation. We want to be the people that can help answer those questions and then also take into account the feedback that we're getting from the community. So you will see us out there at surveys because again, it's that in the moment feedback, that we want to get from people. How are you feeling at this moment? Because they might go home, they might forget that feeling, or time goes on. Everyone is so busy. Getting that in the moment feedback is a vital part of our operation. Every year at the end of at the end of each of these signature events. And all of our events, we do a SWOT analysis to identify, what were the areas that we can improve upon, where can we grow, where are the opportunities at, because we also want to make sure we're not stagnant. It is always our intention to elevate these items as we continue them each year.
Fantastic. We've got four minutes left, and I actually just thought of something because we have a lot of appreciation days. Do we have a Parks Appreciation Day?
We have a whole month for parks.
That's right.
So July is our Parks and Recreations month, and we celebrate it. Last year we did it through a photo challenge. We were inviting people to go to our parks and take a photo and submit it to us. We put it on Facebook, and then it's also featured in this current playbook. This coming July will be another parks related sort of build where you go. Sort of theme to it. So we'll roll that out in due time. And it's a community participation month so that everybody can enjoy all aspects of parks, not just the playgrounds, but the facilities and the trails.
Right. Because at the end of the day, we're providing this for the community. So it is just as much their month as it is our month, I would say. But it is definitely an exciting month. I always love to see what we come up with each year in July.
Just another event, only it's a whole month.
It's right. A whole month. Yeah.
I hope we come up with something creative there because my mind, while I was sitting here listening to you guys about the parks, I've always thought we need to do something to get people to each and every park. Mm-hmm. And I almost think we need to do some sort of a prize-driven kind of a entry raffle by going to each park and having somebody sit at the park who can sign off on the person going to the park. Yeah. But educate them.
After that, we could do it through photo. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm thinking
there's something there, John.
There is something there because we've got Boy Scouts, we've got Girl Scouts, we've got different organizations who want to give back to the community. We could actually put something together, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, that really took some of these civic groups and made them part of that network of people who can sign off. On people who actually came to a park, and we've got enough parks in a day or year that we could do 3 parks a weekend or 4 parks a weekend and kind of hit them all and even do a week before the month, the you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's got to be a way to play this in to get people to go to each and every park so they know where they're at.
Right.
That might be a cool challenge even for some of the civic groups to come up with a platform for that and work together to do it. We have to find a way to bring people back together in the parks. And that might be something cool to get everybody involved in.
Yeah, you hit it on the head there. The whole point of Parks and Recreation Month is to get people out in the parks and the different parks and to experience a new park. So we'll come up with something grand.
And I will tell you as a realtor, if you are a realtor out there and you haven't engaged with your city government, with your Parks and Recs divisions and your cities that you show houses in, please go the extra mile and do that for your citizens, because that engagement, you don't have to be the professional. Let them be the professional. They are there to support the city within, but they're also there to support the parks that they represent. And me as a realtor, I can do it because I talk to you guys all the time. And guess what? I still walk people in the door and say, tell them about the Morgan Center, because you guys are absolutely the professionals at it. And you guys do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being part of the live stream. Sorry about the little glitches. I don't know why. I'm in 5G territory, but obviously I'm on 3G streaming. But we will talk to you guys soon, and I'll be back in Northport later this week. Talk to you guys soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Part of the show.
Safe travels back home.
Thank you so much. You guys have-
Thanks, John. Bye.
All right, you all be safe out there. Thanks for listening in. Bye-bye.